life is a road I can't climb. You can only fight until you fucking.
What's up, everybody? Tristan here, and today is going to be a different style of video. I am going to be doing my first ever album review, and I figured why not just, translate my written review for Melancholy by Shadow of Intent and put it on YouTube. I don't know how this is going to go. I do have my review in front of me just so I can, mentally remember my points. But without further ado, we're just going to get into this. Shadow of Intent have essentially transitioned from deathcore with Reclaimer to death metal, technical death metal, symphonic death metal, just death metal in general, pretty much. There's some black and death metal elements in there. There's some minor deathcore stuff, but for the most part, they have blossomed into the death metal band that I'm sure Ben and co wanted to be. They have shed the Halo moniker. It's still Shadow of Intent. The name is Halo influence, but the band itself has put more of an emphasis on creating their own original material, which is always nice. But I guess we just get right into the things I loved about the record. So, starting with the songwriting, it's just an absolute just showcase of superb songwriting from just every single perspective. Every track has fantastic structure and flow, which makes every track feel inherently different, but it's never different enough to feel like it's a part of an entire different record altogether. And then you have Ben's vocals. They don't need, an introduction. His delivery, technique, sound, and versatility are all on full display. And, from the lowest lows to the highest of highs, Ben, he excels at pretty much every aspect that you'd want an extreme metal vocalist to have, because that's just who he is. He's transitioned into pretty much a household name. He's no longer the underground darling. He is a household name for metal vocalists. And also, Shadow of Intent is no stranger to Dimmu Borgir styles of spoken word vocals. Those are present in this record, quite a bit actually. But they are a nice element. They're fantastically done. It's a nice element. It adds layers and depth, and that's good. You want that from a record like this. They're trying to push the boundaries of their style. Trevor Strnad is the only feature on this record, and he's on Barren and Breathless Macrocosm, and he really adds a sort of veteran quality to it. He's got two verses, one of which is led into a solo, which, transitions into the final breakdown of the song. But if you're going to do a feature in a song, you want to have somebody with star power, and he has that. He's a part of one of, if not the greatest melodic death metal band of all time, and the Black Dahlia Murder. And he really adds a certain layer of vocal harmony to this record that wouldn't be present in the song without it. Then we have to touch on Chris Weisman. He's just a tremendous talent on the fretboard. He is a ridiculously talented guitarist, and he's a fantastic producer and engineer. Him and Ben are what make this album sound the way it does in terms of production, because they produced it. And speaking on his guitar work, he effortlessly shreds some of the most intricate yet beautiful riffs I've heard in a long time, solos as well. Couple that with fantastic vocal and percussion transitions into said solos, and you've got yourself a near flawless guitar performance on this entire record. That's like the biggest positive for the record, is the guitar work. It's flawless. Riffs are plentiful, and the solos are fantastic. There's not much you could probably want from a record like this. Touching on another thing that Chris excels at is his clean vocals. Not, whiny cleans, but more harsh clean. It's a nice transitional style of vocal for Ben's thunderous vocals. Like, they're a perfect little yin-yang combo, and they're really well done. A lot of people don't like cleans in death metal and deathcore. I feel like if they're done well, that they warrant a spot on the record because it adds variety, and that's something that the genre of deathcore desperately lacks, is variety. My voice is going away for some reason. I don't understand why. But it's just a nice variety, and I feel like it just adds to the replayability of the record. Now let's touch on the percussion. Anthony Barone from A Night in Texas is tracking and performing the drums for this record, and his talent and skill set really does transition well to Shadow's style. He really does give this record like a orchestral epic feel with his just natural talent and mastery of his craft, and he delivers some of the most punishing drum segments I've heard in a long time. Each song is just an endurance of blast beats and brutality. China cymbals, crashes, the breakdown on Sullen Moon, the ding ding ding, you know what I'm talking about. I'll see if I can't play it in the video, but oh man, he's so good at what he does that his addition really elevates the entire record to that masterclass status that it currently resides in. And now we touch on the bass line. The bass line is something that every record needs to really, it's the foundation to which all metal is built upon. You can't have a record without a bass. I mean, I guess you can, but I guess if your guitars are like 8 strings and tuned low enough, you essentially have a bass guitar with it not being a bass. But for this band, the bass by Andrew it's impeccable. It's superb. It is the foundation of which this masterwork is built upon. Without that much needed support and added depth and overall just melodic groove to the record, I doubt it would be as heavy and as memorable as it is. But like Gravesinger, fantastic shit. Like, that's like the best the bass is in this song outside of the dreaded Mystic Abyss, which is the 10-minute instrumental piece. And then transitioning into another key important ingredient to this record is the lyrical content. Gone are the days of the Halo stuff, which, if you're a diehard Halo fan like me, might be kind of disappointing, but they do their own style really well, because this record fully demands your attention lyrically, because it's a concept album of an evil goddess, the Gravesinger, who pretty much uses her power to convince the beings of Earth to commit mass suicide, hence the name Melancholy. And the protagonist kills themselves early on in the record and spends the entire record being tortured and trying to find a way out, wandering through the underworld, until eventually they find their way back to reality, but they're immortal and the world is laid to waste, and they're just there. It's torture to be alive again and to have this immortality. And the foundation of which this concept was built upon is, a couple years ago, it was proven that antidepressants cause an increased suicide rate in adolescence. And it's nice that the band wants to touch on that, which a lot of people, including myself, have gone through, depression and stuff like that. It's a very touchy subject that I really like that a lot of bands in the deathcore and death metal scene are focusing less on the shock value and more on meaningful topics. Like Fit for an Autopsy's newest single, Mirrors, is about the loss of a loved one to substance abuse and try not to follow down that path. I really like the fact that Shadow is dealing with depression, suicide, and the melancholic state of mind that someone is in before they take their life. So, you know, it's a very deep album lyrically. And, you know, that's a good thing. Albums should be deep in this genre. Because this genre already has enough problems with stereotyping and, you know, people going... You know, how many times have you told somebody you listen to metal? Also, I did drink something in the cuts so my voice can stop dying, because it's fucking annoying. But back to the review. How many times have you told somebody you listen to metal, right? And they're like, oh, that screaming stuff? It's not music, that's just noise. Or the stupid one, that's Satan stuff? See, with this album, it touches on a very personal subject, which is nice because this genre should deal with intensely personal stuff. That's all I'm getting at. So, pressing onward, Shadow of Intent also added they did a more of a collaboration with, was it Francesco Ferrini or whatever? He's from Flesh God Apocalypse. That's what they did, their orchestral and symphonic beats in this record. That's who they, you know, worked with to get that sort of signature Shadow style that they've built for themselves, especially with Reclaimer. And I really think it adds levity to the serious nature of the album. It's almost like a strangely uplifting experience. And then, as far as negatives, the only really negative thing I have to say is that I'm not a big... I mean, I love Underneath the Soul and Moon, but the re-recording, I feel like loses just a little bit of its replayability, because I don't find the breakdown with the you know, the China cymbal to be as effective in the re-recording, but everything else is superb. The vocals, the drumming, the atmosphere, it's all nice, but I think I prefer the single a little bit more just because I heard it a lot more before this album dropped. And then, to close out this review, I just want to say that, you know, this album is to 2019 what Where Owls Know My Name by Rivers and Nile was to 2018. This is a Lord of the Rings-esque experience. It's more than music. This truly shows that extreme metal and metal as a whole is art and should be respected as the art that it is. See, in my opinion, what separates good bands from great bands is their inherent ability to create a work that does not solely rely on one style or subgenre, but instead being able to pull from multiple genres to create their own amalgamation of death metal or metalcore. It's seemingly the best. It's seemingly the best of multiple genres. Yeah, my Xbox controller. Shadow of Intent, in my opinion, may as well not even be referred to as a deathcore band anymore. They have fully transitioned into a technical death metal band. They do not rely on breakdowns, angsty-laden lyrics, and open note chugging riffs that deathcore has become synonymous with. And I love deathcore, but, you know, it is very formulaic at times. Melancholy has shed this formula. They have blossomed into the death metal powerhouses that they deserve to become. I mean, I could go on ad nauseum about how quality the record is, but I don't want to sound like a broken record. Instead, I will leave you with this thought. If you consider yourself a death metal connoisseur or just a metalhead in every sense of the word, you owe it to yourself to listen to this record and formulate your own opinion on it, to see how it affects you, how you see it. What subjective opinion can you bring to it? How do you break it down? How does it affect you? But as far as me, there is something in this album for every metalhead. There's good breakdowns, a groovy bass line, exquisite percussion, nice clean vocals, good catchy choruses, really deep lyrics, great vocal harmonies, solos, impeccable riffing. It's ridiculous. And that's just the beginning of it. There's so many layers and atmosphere to this album, it's ridiculous. But I urge you to listen to it and share it with everybody. Your friends, your family, your dog, your fucking neighbor's pet goldfish. Spread the word and just help Shadow of Intent become the next big thing in deathcore and death metal. They deserve it. They deserve to have a massive headlining tour. And to end this review, I want to extend a thank you to everybody who helped work on this record and bring it to life and create this wonderful masterwork that we can all enjoy. Everybody that had anything to do with this, Ben, Chris, Anthony, Andrew, you guys are all legends. We as a community love you, and we hope you keep bringing the heat and the badass tunes, and just, you know, keep the world of death metal alive. And I want to say thank you to Ben for adding me on Facebook. That made my day. It was nice chatting with you. And yeah, I mean, if you like this style of video, I mean, let me know. I consider doing more. It's like a first time thing, so I'm trying to not come off like a total jackass. But you know, you might sound like a fanboy too with all this shit on my. I just got this, so I'm wearing it. But aside from that, yes, my score is a 10 out of 10. I feel like anything less would be just, I'd be lying to myself because I just don't have any criticisms with it. I love every single second. It's just, I listened to it 9 times today, so it's like, I also listened to Killswitch Engage about 2 or 3 times. I like both albums, but I feel like Melancholy is probably my album of the year, and it's gonna be a near insurmountable task to knock it off the #1 pedestal. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, leave a like, and comment for any future suggestions for reactions, and I'll be sure to get to them when I can. And yeah, if you like the reviews, I do write reviews all the time. I'll leave all that information in the description. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace!
For the creatures of the earth.